Welcome back to Worlds 2022 in the State Farm Analyst Desk, where we go again. DWG KIA get it done, and they tied things up at 5-1, top of the table here for Group B, and that means we dive back onto the Rift to do battle one more time to determine who will get the first seed and who will go to the knockouts as seed number 2. Right off the top, I do want to let people know that for this last and final tiebreaker game, DWG will receive side selection. They have already elected to jump to the red side. The reason they have side selection is that they had the faster win time against JDG than JDG did against DWG KIA, because we only compare the head-to-head win times of the teams in the tiebreaker itself. So they are going to jump to red side, and we'll talk a little bit about some of the importance of that, quite hopefully by breaking down the draft here. Because Chronicler, I asked you backstage, assuming DWG would get side select, where would you want to see them go? And you snap said red side, the side they just won from.
And not even for the reasons that we see in this draft. Because why I love DWG on red side is because they are, I think, the best LCK team at finding really creative angles in drafts and actually utilizing R5 counter picks really, really well. In this draft, though, it's all about comfort. They get Aphelios for deokdam that we already talked about, which has a 70% win rate career-wise. And guess what? Kenyon's Graves, same thing.
Thumbs up.
Yeah, I mean, those are comfort picks, but you said you like R5 counter picks. I actually really love this Gragas for Nuguri. It's not something we kind of expected him to bring out. We were expecting more of like this super carry matchup for both of them. 369 goes for the Kellin, and Nuguri locks in the Gragas, and it actually ended up making a massive difference.
Yeah, it really doomed what JDG had to offer in their draft. Specifically, the blind pick Kellin I didn't like with the Sylas pick you already had. So like you just now have double AP between mid and top lane. So you started to see it being itemized against, specifically Malmortius off the Graves, who is massive. You're seeing it already a little bit in the Lulu as well. So like across the board, you were already seeing heavy MR into what, and disengage off the the Gragas. So really good call out there. Just a tough draft from JDG, and they have to change it up. I think the few things that I want changed is I don't like seeing the Lucian Nami in particular. And when you go into a blind pick top, which is inevitable, I think they will give counter pick towards Nuguri. End up giving it to an Ornn. Like I think if you can't get access like you saw from the bans of Maokai or Sejuani, you can go Ornn and see what you can do for a team fight win.
And as you say, we expect to see changes because in all honesty, this was a bit of domination coming out of DWG KIA in this game. Couple good skirmish looks for JDG, but for all intents and purposes, this was full control by DWG.
It goes back to not only the comfort that DWG have on these specific picks, but this is also, I think, a very DWG style where they're able to simultaneously get Kellin ahead and play through him, while also having a bot lane that is very self-sufficient. And we've seen this Lulu pick in particular be very successful into the Lucian specifically as he dashes in. And in this game, I gotta give all credit to Kanavi. He was really trying, same for Hope, honestly, but actually, as you pointed out, Emily, between the Lulu and the Gragas, actually finding any backline access as a Lee is so doomed.
And go for it.
No, go.
Okay, I think the big point for me is around Rift Herald. They just did not catch him doing Rift Heralds, but Canyon was able to get it himself, go topside, get the kill on towards 369 with the help of the bot lane that was rotating up, place down Rift Herald. It was actually just a complete annihilation off that sequence. So I think one of the bigger lessons that is not draft related and more gameplay related, if they get something that's more comfortable for JDG, is to be able to get a ward off that so they can contest.
And, you know, both of you know, I love jungle pathing.
Yep.
So I'm going to take you through, I'm going to take you through Canyon's first path because he actually does something I think is really smart. So he ends up going red to birds or chickens or raptors, whatever you want to call them. Sorry, I always write down birds, and everyone on Twitter yells at me, and they're like, "They're chickens."
Minions, bears,
wolves.
Camp.
Yeah, there you go. We're all about animals today on this desk. So he goes red to birds to wolves, Gromp, blue, invade, enemy Krugs, which isn't super weird, right? We see this happen all the time. It was actually mirrored, and they knew where Kanavi was as well.
Especially if you're supported by your bot.
Yeah, was taking Krugs. But the more important thing, he goes to Crab. He kind of mimics to back at birds, ends up kind of contesting them with Kanavi, who gets down there, and then, most importantly, recognizes that at 324, Nuguri got 369's flash in that matchup. And 369, I love him, but I've seen him do this all the time. we talked about that forward percentage, right? He likes to push forward. So he's pushed forward up in the lane. Canyon recognizes, cuts through mid, goes up, gets that first blood.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really smart because he's like, okay, I'm backing. Okay, I'm contesting chickens. Okay, I'm going up to the top lane, making this play. I already know the flash is blown. It's something that's really simple, but this is exactly what set Canyon ahead in this matchup. And, you know, he never, ever looked back.
And what I love is that it also shows how mirrored these two teams are and how whoever gets the first lead, I think, is going to have a really big advantage because as well as JDG has been playing around team fights, coming back into a Dom Kia from this position is incredibly tough.
And this is
what
the play.
the heck am I looking at?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nailed them
He
down.
did not have a fun time.
Yeah, with the bot lane roaming up just so they could switch sides too. They were just on point. And I think against the Dom1 team that is playing at this level, you don't want to give them a draft that is too heavily early game.
Yeah.
Because if you just make that one mistake, then you are just completely shut out. So that was the one big change that I want to see. And it's a highlight of two amazing junglers that we will for sure see really take over the knockout stage. So yeah, this
Let's
is
go.
the best matchup we have seen in the group stage, I would say bar none. And it's going
Absolutely.
to be something that we hopefully see again going into the knockouts.
That's unanimous agreement on the
Yes.
desk about that comment right there. You mentioned they're going to wreak havoc in the knockouts. They've got to go toe-to-toe one more time.
There it is.
And that's where I kind of have to ask the question. While Canyon got out to such an incredible lead, JDG, a lot of late-game fights actually almost went their favor. And then the Graves comes in, and he, like, triple kills, quadruple like that, right? So let's talk about how maybe JDG can control that Dom1 Kia jungler in Canyon. Is it as simple as removing options like the Graves where he can solo carry if he gets off the ground? Or is it more about a cohesive strategy to actually hold him down, suffocate him in the jungle?
I think it also depends on their lanes too. Like one thing I didn't mention previously, like I did mention the flash blown in top, but also ShowMaker had got the push in on Yagao very early, which is what also kind of allowed them to do that. And additionally, we already pointed out Aphelios is a deokdam special. It's his comfort pick, like it's his best pick in my opinion.
Oh, by far.
And that lane was actually pushing into the Lucian Nami the majority of the time. Like yes, Canyon did come around like 4 minutes after he took Krugs to kind of like, you know, futz in there, throw some smoke screens out, and then path back up. But like, they had that lane shoved in.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not just about like Canyon getting ahead, obviously, but it's about them realizing that they do need to have some pushing lanes for Kanavi to play around.
And from the Dom1 perspective, I always go back to the Karthus game that had this play, where they were playing for Canyon and where he looked incredible. But they have been pretty reluctant to go back to that. And I can even, if you go to last year, there was a game where Canyon was playing a Pantheon. And even there, ShowMaker basically just made sure that he had prio just to guarantee that Canyon could get those invades, could get a lead on the enemy jungle. And I mean, that's Pantheon. That's not a pick that generally you play that way around. And I think that's why Dom1 in the current meta looks so much better.
And that's why if I just look at this matchup, because I would expect them to have gone back, now they're back on stage, talked about the draft in particular. I don't think the bans are going to really change. What I expect to change is the first pick. I talked about the Lucian pick. I would like the Graves. And we're seeing more of these like junglers that are more, like stronger carries because you can actually now enable them with a melee support that can engage. So like a Thresh pick that has worked really well in the past for missing. I would like to see that again. So I would expect the Graves pick up and then for them to play around that, maybe pick up the Aphelios. So just nab what Dom1 did.
Possibility of a fight over a number of the successful picks in that last game. But let's move from the junglers to a couple of those lanes that we focused on. I want to jump back to the top lane, 369 Nuguri.
Yeah, I mean, I think a big key component of this game was how well Nuguri was able to play on that Gragas, right? Not just because of the pick itself, not just because of itemization, but because of what he was able to do in lane against 369, kind of keeping him down. And then when 369 was pushed up, having the team support, recognizing that they were able to get that kill. So, you know, 369 was not able to get off a lot of these flanks and engages that you'd want to see from a Kennen.
Yeah, but I think these stats actually, the 369 side of it actually puts your point even more well into context. The idea that Nuguri is able to absorb the kind of pressure that a plus 19 CSD player can output, even blow flashes, and then capitalize on that in conjunction with his jungler to get his team ahead.
And the biggest thing to me is that 369 is a player where if you give him a counter pick, as we've seen throughout this tournament and domestically, he can completely wreck players. And that's why I love that Damwon has gone back towards the red side. Because I think that mitigating the 369 factor actually gives Damwon the opportunity to play the game. And even after that last game, if you see what Hope was able to do in a lane where he actually didn't get to do that much and he kind of fell behind, and he still played as well as he did, I'm just hoping that the next game lives up to the one that we saw at the beginning of the
Now you're kind of making me hope 369 takes a carry just so I could see how Nuguri deals with that. Like, even more ridiculous than a Kennen pick. From there to the mid lane, Yagao, ShowMaker, Raz, help me out. How can these guys be the difference maker in this final tiebreaker match?
I mean, if we're just talking about the group stage, ShowMaker has been scaling. He's just been really taking over. And I think a lot of it is just about how you coordinate with your jungler. What I loved about Yagao was when he picked up Azir, a lot of the times how he uses Azir sec in lane to perfectly set up his jungler in Kanavi, set the tone. And now we're seeing that in the opposite side with Canyon and ShowMaker, and that's where it feels like it's going to come down. And I'm favoring ShowMaker in this matchup with how well he's been able to perform individually.
All right, sounds like we're just about ready to head back to the caches to close this out. So, Chronicler, you rolled the Nat 1 to victory for Damwon Kia. Do me the honors one more time.
No. They didn't need it. We rolled a Nat 1 in one.
Just
Let's go.
dice
Wow.
on
Get
the
another
table.
one.
It was
First
fun.
place.
I don't know what that
by the
means,
way.
but I tell you this much. I'm going to hand things over to my dungeon master in Freak, and maybe he can tell me what that's an omen of.
It's worth noting I actually have DM for Dash. We played a full campaign at the LCS. He was briefly that guy, actually, in the campaign as well. He can tell you about it if you ask him at some point. Either way, it's going to be a very fun game. Our extra time 7th game of the day, the battle for first between Damwon Kia and JDG. And this is going to be a ton of fun.
Please, JDG, bring it back. Because, I mean, look, I just feel bad because the game one that we got, I thought was going to be a teaser for essentially how this was going to go, right? It was absolutely fantastic game one. But the game that we just got was an absolute stomp by Damwon. So
Yeah.
I want to see what JDG can now bring back to the table.
I mean, there were some bright moments, for JDG, but overall, it was very, very favored towards Damwon. I don't think we're going to see the Graves being let through unless JDG are willing to first pick it themselves. Kanavi definitely capable of piloting this champion, has already played it a couple of times here. It's a great success in the group stage, so wouldn't mind that, but I don't think you can allow Canyon to really play that. It's just his ultimate champion. Like, it gives him everything he wants to do. He wants to power farm effect lanes, be a beast in team fights, and Graves is perfect for that.
Yeah, especially when you end up giving over the Lucian, well, the Lucian that's now banned, priority for the Graves. It felt a little bit odd. So we'll have to see now exactly what the plan is going to be, because I feel like that changes things up a lot.
And Caitlyn went through picks and bans last games, right? So that was pretty atypical to see it just completely ignored. If that happens again, I'm interested to see RJDG willing to go towards the Caitlyn Lux lane. It might just be a Draven answer here again, but would be really, really interesting.
It does mean you have like 3 potential power picks still open and only 2 spots available. Aatrox, well, the Aatrox, the Azir, and also the Graves, but even then if you are looking at something like the Maokai as well, that's also going to be taken off. Aren't you still open available, so...
I think Aphelios matters here. I think Aphelios matters a lot, actually. It's been a big comfort pick for deokdam, and like, he's not one of the Kai'Sa players. They get Renata out, that Kellin plays a lot of, but I think there's actually an AD carry pinch going on.
It's interesting, though, because here, if they're not actually banning out the Aphelios, like, I would prefer to just go Azir, and they take Aphelios, and you go Caitlyn.
Great.
To me, I feel like if those are all left up,
Azir.
okay, so Azir is now taken away, so then I do agree that it starts to really rise in priority. But you could still go Aatrox plus Caitlyn if they take Aphelios, and to me, you have power picks in 2 lanes. Like, I prefer that end of the trade, so I almost question Damwon banning out Azir, because I think leaving up Azir and taking 2 for 2 in power picks would have made more sense. If they get Aatrox, then you take Azir plus your preferred AD, and then they get their answer of AD. So to me, it was potentially maybe a little bit of a mistake, but they might be seeing Maokai as on that same tier, and if you are evaluating Maokai as on the exact same tier and importance level as the Azir, then you're getting that anyway, right? Because you're getting your power pick to equal their power pick. Plus, you get first crack at ADs, so they can go Caitlyn or Aphelios here based on what they want. Or if they don't care at all, then they can just take something else that they think is contested and grab their AD on 3.
Yeah, and I look, deokdam is an absolutely insane Aphelios player as well. Chronicler was talking about the desk, how his career win rate on that is absolutely absurd, and it looks like deokdam is going to just go back towards that again. So we'll have to see now if Hope and Missing are comfortable playing the Caitlyn, because we haven't actually seen that from them thus far, and this is now going to be the question mark to see if they want to go towards it.
Well, and if they're not, teams are gonna start punishing you before that, right? Like if you can't actually play Caitlyn, it's the most banned champion in the tournament. If you can't play it, that is a disadvantage, because no longer do people have to ban it against you. So JDG, you know, are showing a little bit of a hole there. You have to feel. And they are going towards the LPL Classic, so it's almost guaranteed it feels like Kai'Sa Nautilus to me. Once you lock in the Kai'Sa, the Nautilus, I feel like is such a strong pairing. But, you know, I'm a little bit interested to see that again. No Kellin in picks or bans.
I think, though, we'll end up seeing the Sylas probably for Yagao. He's been very high priority for Yagao in the mid lane. You can even see him discussing there with the coach. So maybe they do just go, hey, look, the Nautilus can dip. We want to get the Sylas, and it looks like that is going to be the call.
Yeah.
That's interesting. This is the second Kai'Sa game for Hope post-MSI Summer Split plus Worlds. This has not been one he's been comfortable playing. You compare to people like Gala, where it's like, oh, I've got 18 games, actually, even though she's not meta. Like, he's not playing the AD carry of the tournament, and he's playing something he doesn't even play normally in Summer.
Yeah, but he did get his one win in Worlds, actually against someone, right?
Sure.
That was that game where he actually brought it out, played incredibly well. So it is still very, very frightening to play up against that. ShowMaker gonna get his LeBlanc again here. So taking it on 3 this time around. And we saw multiple bans thrown towards him in that second phase of bans last game. He went to the LeBlanc anyway, and they're gonna do it here again. And I do think that there is a chance that this Maokai, you know, could go to the jungle. You're gonna need physical damage though from somewhere on that top side. So I either need an AD jungler or an AD top.
And that's the thing that I love here, right? Because you probably, as Kanavi, want to go towards something like a Sejuani in the jungle, right? Especially if it is a Maokai match tank for tank. You got great setup with the triple melee on the top side. But because you still got that flexibility for Nuguri in that top side, well, then you can always end up flexing that around and then catch Kanavi off guard, where you suddenly go back towards a farming jungler that can cause issues for the Sejuani.
Well, that's one of the really nice things about going LeBlanc here on 3. You can just go support on 4, have 5th pick, counter pick for Nuguri on 5, and that can allow you to go for a really advantageous, you know, physical damage jungler or top laner there. And you can still allow yourself to have that threat of the flex all the way until your 5th pick.
Also, I mean, it could just be the Maokai in the sport, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's something that we have talked about a little bit. We haven't seen as much, but again, you got a ton of flexibility with these last 2 picks now. We will get a bit of an answer here as the Viego will be banned away. So again, trying to push Kanavi towards that Sejuani, saying, go on, please take it.
Very interesting. So again, you know, it was Lulu last time when they went for this Aphelios pairing. They are going to leave that up. They're still more concerned about some of these defensive supports, the Thresh for the repositioning, the Braum as well, a concern. Leona, I think, both works pretty well with their comp to give them some hard engage, but also is a good takeaway from Missing, because they do need that hard engage themselves. Nautilus would still be available, so it's not like they're completely pinched out, but a Mumu ban, they take away the Leona. Leona generally considered to have a good support mashup into the Nautilus, so I think they're going to be happy to take that side of the trade.
I think it just makes you very defensive on the bot side, because, I mean, you take the Glacial Augment with the Nautilus, you end up hooking as you go in with the Zenith Blade, and then you can back away from the Leona before she can get the follow-up stun. So it does mean that you'll give pressure to deokdam and Kellin, but we'll have to see now. Kanavi saying, hey, look, I want to be the hard engage here. Here comes the Vi.
And I mean, now you really start to understand why you're prioritizing bans towards Braum as well as the Thresh. You're taking away that repositioning there for the Aphelios, and you're saying, all right, you can't keep the Aphelios safe here. Aatrox, Kai'Sa, Nautilus, Vi, Sylas, everything flying in towards this kind of 1 point of failure here on the other team. Ooh. But 5th pick, counter pick for Nuguri. If you go towards the Irelia, this is a great answer to the Aatrox, but you have to be able to play it at an incredibly high level. He's gonna lock it in. He becomes that second threat, something that is very difficult to ignore. If you try to engage past the Irelia onto deokdam on the Aphelios, you have to get through now. Canyon on the Maokai, which has great gank assist for this Irelia. So much CC, so much lockdown. And Nuguri is the guy to pilot it. This is gonna be such an exciting game.
Oh, this is going to be a lot of fun. Someone is getting first place in this group. Someone's top dog. They are dodging T1. They get a chance at facing EDG in the quarterfinals based on group draw. And we'll see, of course, who else going to join them in the quarters. But it is a fight for first place. They have split the games 1-1 so far. And what's it going to be now the second time around? Third time around even.
And this is where we start to come back to the question of Kanavi versus Canyon, right? Because it feels like whoever does get this lead in the early stages is going to have such a good time in this game because you can get the snowball rolling for the Kai'Sa, for a Sylas, even trying to turn around the top side and make sure 369's in a decent position. So I'm expecting a huge amount of this to see if Canyon can match Kanavi the same way they did in the last game.
Absolutely, and I've got my eyes on 369, right? 369 was my best top laner in the world coming into this event, if not the best player in current form coming out of the LPL playoffs in the world. And in that last game, he really did make quite a few positioning errors, you know, gave up some easy kills. If you give over easy kills to the Irelia, this one is going to be frightening, but 369 is going ignite Aatrox here.
Yeah.
So he's going right at it. He says, all right, you think you have the counter pick? Not if I got ignite, buddy. So there is going to be so much focus on this top lane. Immediately, when you go ignite on either side of the top lane melee versus melee matchup, it is like blood in the water for junglers. Because if you get up there on the Vi, you have the damage to actually burst this guy down. And likewise, if Canyon gets up there first and you make even 369 just take a bad recall with no TP, you get crushed on those waves. You lose so much experience, so much gold. So I do think largely whoever wins top lane, whatever team plays better around that top lane, the game will swing heavily in their favor.
I like the way JDG are setting up here, though, right? You got the Nautilus to wait for the LeBlanc if she tries to go over the wall and tries to get a ward on red. We've seen that a lot from the LeBlanc, so trying to make sure you can hide where Kanavi is starting, so then you can have that opportunity to get up early towards that top side. Even both junglers here starting on the top side of the map, it looks like could be an indication of maybe an early gank going up towards this top side.
Safety so far, though, not a lot of deep vision here. Everyone spaced out. Last game of the day and a fight for first in the group. And it looks like there will not be deep vision pretty much anywhere. Canyon going to be starting out the jungle. I believe he was not on E start based on the fact that I saw no saplings in the brush. So not the fastest turbo clear, but should be fine.
If you look there, you can see ShowMaker got that ward we were just talking about, right? Like, this is everything for Damwon, trying to spot out where Kanavi's going to start, make sure that they're able to match it. And Canyon right now going to go towards his red buff, but even the way that he's pathing, right? He is staying up towards this top side, trying to make sure that Kanavi isn't going to go for some sort of level 1 or early gank into the top lane.
And you had it right, Freak. It was Maokai starting with Q, clears out the Raptors, level up, get the saplings, start to clear up towards there. I am curious if there's any chance of just something a little bit cheesy, go straight up the top off 3 camps. He was warded out on Raptors, so they would have the information that this could be coming, but 369 did not pay respect to that in that last game. So he's gonna have to really be careful this time around. ShowMaker, of course, does have the push in mid. The push in bot, pretty heavily contested. Both of these lanes are now level 2.
Yep, okay. First trade comes in, fully stacked passive, Nuguri gets a few autos, then Q's back for some health.
It's actually so good for Nuguri, though, because you have so much sustain on this Irelia with the last hits with your Q. He is taking biscuits as well. You know, even if you just get the early shove here, the longer you can kind of extend this lane without having it all in when you're laning against an Ignite top laner is really, really good. If you get the push, you bounce the wave, you just go for a quick recall, spend up your gold, 369 can't really do anything, and that's exactly what Nuguri is doing. So I think this is textbook. When you're playing against that Ignite, don't stay in the extended lane. Don't give them a chance to actually all in you. Just utilize your ability to get back to lane that much faster with the TP. And here, I would actually hold my TP, walk back to lane, and then even if you get ganked or chunk low, you still have your TP to bail you out again. So I think this is a really smart early play here from Nuguri.
And it's just using that information that they had. They spotted the Vi on bot side. They knew that Kanavi was going to be safe. So it was like, all right, well, Kanavi, what are you going to do now? Are you going to go for the reset and immediately try and go top? But I mean, yeah, just as Ale highlighting it there, Nuguri walking towards the mid. They're
looking for something maybe a little bit cheesy around mid, I wonder.
I think he's covering his options, where he's like, it's going to be a slow push to me, so I'm going to cover scuttle play. I don't know if they actually got vision on Vi, what she was doing. They might have seen her towards the bottom side. They might have figured out that she was doing a 6 camp clear. So this is Nuguri, like, he might have lost a melee minion for this play, but obviously gets it back by killing this.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of gold there from actually taking down the scuttle. Plus, you're denying the scuttle from Kanavi, so it does mean, you know, for Damwon as a whole, they double scuttle and are going to be able to collect that pushing wave, as you said, Freak. Now, you know, as Nuguri, if you can actually deny the push a little bit here and hold that wave, it's going to be really, really good. But Kanavi up towards top side, they've got to get this wave in.
He wasn't spotted. He queued over the wall. So Nuguri actually has no idea that Kanavi's here. He's managed to walk around all the vision that Nuguri got on this top end. So we'll have to see if he can make that one work.
Ooh, root into stun. A lot of damage there on a missing. He's going to be at 200 HP. Down to 120 actually, and Maokai is around, but is it dive ball is the question. He's chugging potions right now. And as they are now under the turret, looks like they don't feel safe to this one. Level 3 Leona could tower dive. A flash. Nuguri getting stunned up now instead. Jumps to the minions, gets out of the way. Kanavi will not be able to complete that kill. The dive continues on. The pullback. Hope. He is burning, but he will not die. The sapling will not catch him either. The bot lane stays alive. The flash follow. First blood is in the top side for JDG.
That's massive. They needed to get that kill. But thankfully for Nuguri, he did not commit his TP, so it's not nearly as bad because he actually saved the TP from the previous play here. They are going to get back towards top. Even though they get the kill, though, look at the gold. It's Damwon who are ahead because it's so much worse for Hope in the bot lane. You know, the cheers are erupting there for JDG, but overall, this play is way better for Damwon. You know, look at the lead for deokdam. Hope is like out of the game.
And this is the same thing we saw in the last game, right? Canyon moving down to this bot side, punishing Hope and missing, making sure that they're pushed out of the game. And once more, deokdam on this Aphelios is in such a good spot. And as a Kai'Sa, you need to be able to follow up on this engage. You need to be able to essentially one-shot people on this backline. When you're this far behind, that just isn't an option anymore.
I mean, just look at the lanes, right? You're comparing top lane, you know, winning in farm in top lane. You're looking at mid lane. You're looking at bot lane. Across the board here, advantages for every single carry, but it's JDG back towards top side, looking to find Nuguri here. He's got no minion to queue back to. He could try to look for Kanavi, though.
Gets a bit more healing. He's got a jungler coming around, though. Is it a possibility? Mid laners cannot show up. It's a 2v2. Jumps around, dodges most of the knockups, and ultimately going to be fine as he's got a jungler here as well. Canyon, ever present to bail out the lane.
Yeah, great coverage here from Canyon. Knows that Nuguri is going to be very vulnerable on this bounce. Gets the coverage, and again, Nuguri just goes straight back to base. Push it in, reset. You want to just do this rinse and repeat in these Ignite matchups here. Just don't stay around to get punished. Fill the health back up. Try to extend this lane out as much as you can.
Ooh, take her in, not bad. Gets the plasma, but it's through the W, so not a ton of damage on the Kellin.
And as long as Canyon is just kind of keeping pace hand in hand with Kanavi, you're in a great spot here for Damwon, right? You got deokdam who's going to be able to scale towards the later portion of the game. Nuguri will eventually be able to take over this matchup with the advantages and the cull he's already picked up. And that's exactly what Canyon's doing, just matching Kanavi every single way, even scaring them away.
Smite it, bro. It's up. You see him walk in. That's going to hurt. Kind of be losing some golden XP.
I wonder if he wasn't looking. I wonder if he was watching another lane or something, because I think he even had his Q available there, but just kind of lets Canyon walk in, takes the full camp, and now Canyon just going to continue on the push here, harassing away, marking the Vi. You know, as you say, that's all you really need to do here is just keep this Vi away from your lanes, allow them to just continue extending the advantages they've already built. I mean, it's 2.5 plates are already gone. The third one is pretty close to falling. They're not going to be able to get it on this wave, but
it's a little once. Aker's gonna hit the turret, or sorry, a bit of terrain instead. Knocking him around. He's not a tanky. Nautilus missing. Oh, pulls him back into the tower though. That could kill, and Kellin will die, but already traded back. Yagao gonna try to live, has a flash over the wall, and Maokai may not be done. They're gonna trade ultis. Aphelios does not quite have the kill, but ShowMaker may get it happen instead. Gonna dive in, 2 HP, there's one, and Yagao is left alone, looking for the second. He's gonna try to find the damage. ShowMaker flashing back out to safety. Getting the kill, and it's 4-3 Damwon.
It's a disaster for JDG. The Q of Kanavi misses. The anchor tosses immediately into the wall, and Damwon collapse hungry. They will take so much off that bot side.
yeah, they got a ton. At the same time, though, 369 solo killed the Irelia. So at least they get something back on that top side. And I think we'll likely get a replay of that. We can see this one more time here. Nuguri down a level, trying to get aggressive. Nice dodge out on the Q3, but the connection on the Infernal Chains there pulls him back in. And 369, the Ignite wasn't even up for this. Doesn't look like it just yet, but he's able to just straight up chase him down.
Tries to heal up off the Qs and whatnot, but dodged away from the stun, which means no reset, and just, yeah, you're not getting through the Aatrox, buddy. Sorry, waits out the ulti. He's just too big. the damage isn't there for the Irelia.
The damage is done on this bot side, though. When you actually look at it, missing into the wall, Kanavi having missed the Q as well, and missing just ends up so far overextended. Even Yagao as well tried to help out. He went in with the chains and completely misses on those as well because of how early he tossed them out. So easy turnaround for Damwon on this bottom side. An absolute disaster for JDG.
I mean, deokdam just so far ahead. JDG's bot lane has been struggling today. Let's be honest, they have been getting taken advantage of a number of these games. Yes, it is also about the coordinated pressure. The tower juggling there is perfect. Everyone taking the exact amount that they can. ShowMaker now here, level advantage. He's up almost 30 CS mid lane. A Gale Force is done for deokdam. This is a crazy lead.
But he stuns the clone, though, instead. I don't think he had an option for anyone else instead, though. Canyon, though, pretty low. Gets a nice double knockback Q. Flash for safety. May not have needed it, but Nuguri left alone. 1v3. They got to get this wave in. Hope can do that with a Q. And is he diveable? Canyon pretty low. Can't help much.
ShowMaker's coming, though. And at the same time, it's first turret's solo gold for deokdam, who's already monstrously ahead. 2,200 gold ahead 10 minutes in that 1v1 here. Hope is just getting gapped here by deokdam. The team play from Damwon has been much better towards that bottom side. It's a 3,000 gold lead at 10 minutes. Again, Damwon are just smashing him.
But this is the thing now, they're trying to play around Hope, trying to get some gold back into his favor, but there's 3 members of Damwon here, and you're playing around what is your weakest member of JDG. You can see there, Hope, he's going to walk away, so he doesn't even get much, or you actually will get the gold off the back of that, but you can't actually go for the dive because you move 369 down to the bottom side.
I mean, you have to pull so many members up there to even get a safe crash for Hope, but he's still 1,800 gold down individually. To deokdam, who already has tier 2 boots. He's got the pickaxe, has the Gale Force. deokdam is ready to go. Hope, playing more with scraps there, does at least complete his mythic, but still so far down. And it's deokdam just continuing the push here, gonna farm up at least 2 more plates. So even more gold in his pockets here, extending that gold lead again, out past 2,000 gold. You can see Yagao has half the gold that deokdam does. Yagao has been put in the dirt. I mean, he made that roam, gave up waves, and didn't get anything from it. So JDG are in dire straits, only 11 minutes in.
Yeah, this is all about protect the private deokdam. If JDG can get access to him with the Vial, with the engage coming through from Aatrox, hell, even just sending Hope in for a little bit more of a tickle of damage, that could maybe be enough to defeat the Aphelios, but it is going to be so tough with the CC from Leona, from the Maokai, offering great disengage as well, thanks to things like that ultimate that Maokai has.
And I mean, the reality is they have 2 losing lanes, very heavily losing, and Hope is
Q. He's not ranked this anymore, though, so the cleanse gets a bit of space, but the flash follow, they just know they can make it happen. Gale Force is in, and it doesn't matter, Hope, what you try to do, they're chasing you down anyway.
This is looking like just absolutely toast. Damwon are just running over JDG, making it look easy. Canyon in trouble potentially.
Ulti means the Q smites for some healing. Unfortunately, though, it's Nautilus taking the kill away. Kellin a bit low, but he's got enough health. He's got a W. Here come reinforcements. Kanavi could take the Q to the right and get behind them. Might build enough space. He's still got about 8 seconds. They go for the support right away, trying to find the opening to kill off Nautilus. Stopwatch buys time. They got to get on a deokdam, hitting what he can. Red, white, and he's going to try to win the fight. Yagao finally kills him. Just gets away. ShowMaker can't get it just yet. Lethal damage not yet found. But here comes Irelia for more. Finds the ulti. Hope trying to free hit, but Nuguri knocks on the support. And Hope, he has ulted, maybe to his own demise. He finds ShowMaker, decides to clone, and it is.
I mean, that's just the TP diff there for Damwon. Nuguri able to get in towards that top side. He can play in towards the fight, whereas you're still looking at 369 kind of holding himself on this bottom side, and it looks decent to begin with, where Damwon get the kill onto Hope, but turnaround comes through for Kanavi. Then they decide to try and turn on towards Kellin with Yagao roaming from the mid lane, but they just cannot get through this Aphelios with this red-white, with the advantages that he's picked up, with the CC coming through from Kellin to take out multiple different threats. deokdam is in a really good spot with that reposition to free fire so damn long in this fight.
Yeah, it just takes way too long to actually knock him down. Yagao trying to go back in, but Nuguri arrives here, as you say, TP advantage. That is a problem when you're playing Ignite. Yes, the Aatrox is winning in the lane, but honestly, only by a little bit. And you can't actually play the map, so when it's cross-map plays that are happening, Nuguri just TPs away. Sure, he's down 400 gold. Who cares? It's not really relevant at this point. The TP is going to be way more valuable on the map unless 369 can really start to crush through a side lane and draw multiple members to him.
Yeah, it's a 400 gold diff for 369 versus Nuguri, but if Nuguri just gets to the other side, there's a 5,000 gold difference on that side of the map. So not exactly the best way for them to try and play it, but now 369 is starting to move up river as the top side is getting invaded here for JDG.
Smiteable claim, blue buff to Kanavi, but not to Yagao, who got the shutdown on Aphelios. I think it was 750 for his shutdown, but Missing got both of the other kills, so it wasn't Kanavi or Hope getting those infusions. It was a very split assist for each one. And Hope got nothing, actually.
The experience differences are really starting to show as well. It's nearly 2 full levels that deokdam is ahead of Hope. Yagao's down a level. You know, the jungle experience is pretty even. Support's down a level, so it's definitely really, really concerning here. We'll see if JDG can teamfight their way out of this. They do have the summoners off of deokdam, so this is a window for them. If they can really find a very good engage, burst down deokdam, who has no defensive stats really built up, and they do have good dive. If you can get onto him before summoners are back and really kind of just start the fight out with a quick kill on this Aphelios, maybe you can make something happen, but you know, Damwon are aware that this is a possibility, and that's why they're all grouped around it. They're not giving that window. They're saying, okay, we are vulnerable right now for the next 2-3 minutes, so they're just going to play 5-man mid, ARAM it up for a couple minutes here, and protect deokdam.
Sapning's got a lot of space right now. They can see him all coming in. There's not an engage to be had. He is safely on the backside. Not a concern at all. It's going to be Herald now, the attempt here. Spawned early. Hope ults. Can't dodge a single thing. ShowMaker knocks him down nearly a solo. And guess what? This team fight not going to go your way either. Leona got to hand the easy bullseye on the ulti. A stun not going to mean a whole lot. Missing is low, but not quite dead. Aatrox wants to make it happen. Cannot quite get Nuguri. Finally a kill on the board, but it's already a double for deokdam. And he's going to go for a whole lot more here. Kellin is low, finds his stun, tries to run away. Another on the board now for 369, but now left alone, 2 versus 3. You have to believe the ulti's not going to be enough. Q flash almost finds it. His health bar is going to run down the same way. And Yagao just running out, but ShowMaker knocks him down. That is an ace for 2.
Damwon are killing it today. Coming back here, forcing the tiebreaker and dominating JDG in the 2nd straight game. Kanavi dove deep here onto deokdam, but their AD is already dead before the fight even starts here. He gets picked coming across. You could see the pings were on him, so they knew that he was going to be walking around. ShowMaker had the read, and he face checks right into it, gets burst down before it even starts. And then when the team fight breaks out, there's just no one to actually dive in with Kanavi onto deokdam. And you can watch right here, they're going to have the Vi ulti back into that backline. But where's the follow-up? There's no one there to really get in and kill him.
And that's the thing, right? Canyon immediately jumps onto 369, making sure he can't follow up, and there's just nothing left. This bot lane drain is becoming too much for JDG to handle. Even when 369 is trying to hit multiple members with everything he's got, there's just not enough for JDG to carry.
If deokdam hadn't stepped forward, there's a chance Q3 Flash actually heals enough and does enough damage. He can actually 1v5 that fight, but doesn't have the sweet spot. Good sidestepping there. Dragon can be claimed now by Canyon. 1-1 of the Drake score. Ulti come across from the stolen Maokai ultimate. Is it enough? On the Kellin is not your primary target. Canyon gonna disengage pretty well against the melee Bash Brothers. 369 now stuck in the team fight. Tries to dash away, but there's so much damage on him. Leona builds some space. 369 still doesn't die, and they find the time. Kellin could be next. Still, 369 will not be killed. Aatrox in the bottom river. The LPL makes it happen again.
How do they do it? JDG bring it back in the river. 369 looks like he's done for, but it's not enough. They'll find Canyon maybe here. Another one on the cards.
JDG are pulling it back, making a game of it here. Damwon committed so many resources onto 369, the strongest member of JDG. Thought they had him separated out from the team. Thought they could get an easy pick. But 369 would not go down, and it made space for Yagao. It made space for Hope. These carries who are so far behind were bought the time they needed to try to get something done. I mean, look at the gold between bot lane. 4,000 gold behind is Hope, but they get the kills, and they're closing the gap to only 700 gold now. 369 is massive.
And JDG are finding those minute moments those ever so slight leads that they can get an advantage in a team fight has come through for them once more. The fact that they managed to get onto your deokdam, even you could see there, Kellin had a great ultimate on the backside of that fight as well to try and prevent Hope and Co from getting involved, but it just wasn't enough. And now with those bounties, now with the shutdown, with actually managing to get those side lane towers as well, JDG are right back in this.
Yeah, and ShowMaker now does have the Morello, so they have Morello, plus they have Ignite, so they do have some heal cut here for 369. But, you know, he already has the full mock completed, plus the Gore Drinker, he's level 12, and he is definitely ready to go. A lot of the hopes of JDG are going to be riding on 369, and we can see it again. It's 369 here on the flank. He's coming around from behind, and they decide to actually try to collapse onto this guy and try to knock him down as they feel like they caught him out isolated, flashing in even as Kellin, everyone piling in on 369. They just don't have the damage, and then as Yagao gets in the backline, Kanavi arrives, in goes Hope, and everyone is piling in and taking down this Aphelios.
And the actual funny part of this is that Mountain Dragon Soul coming up, that little rock, actually gave 369 a corridor that he could back into. It meant that you actually couldn't have Damwon follow up quickly enough onto 369 to kill him. And then, as you say, I mean, Hope, the dive into the backline with Yagao, with Kanavi, meant that deokdam could not stay up.
I mean, there's so much pressure now on this game. It's only a little over 1,000 gold separating these two teams. But this win right here can be the difference between getting knocked out in quarters or potentially advancing and going on, because you will have to fight, if you lose this, a #1 seed from another group. That can be a death sentence depending on who you get. So there's so much pressure to execute now, and it's really all on 369 and it's on deokdam. These two members who have gotten so rich have got to deliver an excellent performance for their teams.
And that's why JDG have to do that again. They cannot invest resources onto other members of Damwon like Nuguri or like ShowMaker. They need to all in on picking off deokdam on this backside. And especially when you look at how Kanavi is going to use this ultimate, that is going to be so crucial, and why Damwon are trying to spot him.
Double stopwatch is the big thing. Double stopwatch for the carries. They've got the front line here. Can he get a flash away? And an ulti for Leona. The root actually catches Aphelios, which means they might dive in for it. Gale forces out, and they're going to catch Canyon. That's the one for nothing. Damwon were not ready to fight. JDG were, and they get that first pick. Kellin gonna be next. They're gonna find the kill onto Leona, missing. Gets the backline. Oh! Here comes the dive. Hope goes for more, but Hope has to flash back out. Yagao gets the third kill. Aphelios snipes Hope at the end.
9-9-9!
Yes!
JDG's top laner is crushing through this game. They find another pick here. ShowMaker feels like he caught out Kanavi on the side, but Nuguri is not here. He's TPing in late, and JDG go in on the other side of the fight and crush through.
And that's the thing, ShowMaker has gone for the Everfrost. He's more defensive, which means he can't burst out Kanavi. So JDG take the side route in and missing, landing the hooks onto Nuguri. This is the first time deokdam has actually been able to take an auto-attack this whole fight, and immediately JDG go in on us.
Yeah, 369 hits the chains onto Kellin, pulls him in. They're able to get that first kill. Then the flash forward with the Q2, connecting on multiple members. They are forcing out the heal as well from deokdam, who critically, though, does have his flashback now and has a stopwatch.
Yep.
So deokdam will be very difficult to take down. But Damwon have got to pay respect to the fact that JDG are willing to pull the trigger on these fights. Nuguri was out to the sideline. He's trying to actually, split the map, play it a little bit more slowly, use that global advantage that they have. And JDG say, sure, we'll just fight you. We'll just go right at you. You've got to pay respect to that.
Kai'Sa lands some W poke. Nautilus holding up in about 5 seconds, and Damwon should know it's probably about up right now. Mid lane going to be pushed out by Hope and Kanavi. Looks like they are not really looking to fight for the Drake. There's no smite. It's going to be a guarantee for Canyon. He'll get it, but will there be a team fight? Diving on in is Nuguri, but he's so low on health. He's squishy as a champion. Divine Thunder, I believe, not yet done. Missing front lines. He has ulti still available. He's going to hit Kellin with it. Doesn't mean a ton, but it still means Canyon goes down. Hope drops deokdam. Burns his stopwatch, but has nowhere to go. 369 hits Q3, and he's on for a double kill. Doubles into 6. Looking for the next one. That's going to be a triple into 9, and it means Baron is the play.
JDG will not be denied the first seed. The first seed from the LPL wants to move on, and they will do it in style. 369. There was people questioning if he was the best top of the tournament. Well, he's down looking like it now.
That's going to be a solo kill. excuse me, sneezing at the wrong time. So never mind, ShowMaker lives. We're going to be fine, but there's still going to be... Oh, they actually can't play for the All Baron. I think they don't have enough damage. With Hope not alive, that pick from ShowMaker, crucial in stopping Baron.
Yeah, it was absolutely massive. ShowMaker, was coming on the flank here. JDG kind of go for this weird half contest actually started off. ShowMaker was buying a lot of time as Yagao's in the pit and he has to flash out. But then as JDG actually commit towards the fight, look at the top of your screen. ShowMaker coming in from behind right here, bursting out Hope, and Yagao is solo killed by ShowMaker. 6-0-4 on the LeBlanc. He does not want to go down without a fight.
Exactly. The battle for the first seed is still available. A close game. 2 Drakes to 1 and a 1,000 gold difference. Is it going to be 3-6-9? Is it going to be ShowMaker putting the team on their back? Both with pretty immaculate KDAs, 14-1, 10 on the other. And even though deokdam is 9-3-4, his stopwatch is broken. He is on the way to Bloodthirst, so that'll help.
Yeah, it absolutely will. And he does still have the summoners remaining here. And ShowMaker, to me, he is at his best when he is on these playmaking champions, where he can be playing from fog, where he can be finding his own windows to make plays, to zone them out. Has dominated for most of this game, got very far ahead in the laning phase against Yagao. Yagao trying to go for these roams, and ShowMaker was always able to punish when Yagao would move. So much pressure, though, on 369, who really, it feels like for the first time, we are getting to see what peak 369 looks like from the LPL, and it is a beautiful thing to watch on the world stage.
Especially now when you look at deokdam with no more stopwatch. Now he's far more vulnerable. Has the flash available, so at least has a little bit more safety, but the execution from JDG on just, we're going to dump everything on the AD carry has been working out quite well. Now, Nuguri is starting to get to a position where he can try and step up as a secondary carry, but realistically, he needs some tanky stats in his build as well before he can really go up against the might that is JDG right now.
And you do have concerns, though. Can this Aatrox continue to keep pace with the LeBlanc, with this 3.5, closing in on 4 items? Aphelios, who is on that other side. He's carried them through the mid game, he's carried them through the early game, but at some point, it's got to be the Sylas, it's got to be this Kai'Sa stepping up and really becoming that additional threat, because in the later stages, it's just going to be tough for Aatrox to really get even in on the carries through the Maokai, through the Leona. If they can actually lock him down, at a certain point, the damage coming out of deokdam is going to be too high for JDG to actually be able to just tank through.
Especially with the Anathemas now on Canyon, but
they don't get the root. He's able to W back every single time. Missing can't do a whole lot against ShowMaker here.
Yagao was back in base, so just trying to see if they could take a little bit of a punk shot at him, but we'll just walk back away. Dragon in a minute 30, though. You got push, you got vision starting to go through for JDG that Damwon will have to clear out.
And as you said, Natha was purchased out, and I did just check, it is actually attached to 369, so he is the big threat. That means the negative tenacity against Leona and Maokai, that is very, very difficult to deal with. You heal through doing damage. You cannot really drain tank if you're getting just permanently locked down here as 369, so he's not playing any Merc Treads either. He does have, I believe, a little bit of tenacity from the runes here.
Both runes, right?
He does have Legend Tenacity and Unflinching, so he has some tenacity from that, but will still be a tough one for him to actually stay free here to get enough damage out against deokdam, who is now very close to his 4th item. Yep, there's the Bloodthirster. Going to be completed here on base.
Alrighty, looking at the bit more then, as there is a control ward giving them Baron control. That is Fog of War right now for Damwon. We know getting to the Mountain Drake would feel pretty good. Damwon would get their 3rd, JDG their 2nd. See if DK can get Soul Point.
Yeah, not having the Infinity Edge on this Kai'Sa really hurts JDG as they try to go into this fight. Has opted in towards the stopwatch, just knowing, hey, look, we need to try and go all in on this backside. Maybe I can get the stopwatch off in time, but JDG, trying to see if they can find the pick, but deokdam is very far back. They're playing so safe with this Aphelios right now.
And I will say, though ShowMaker is having a great game, he is on a very kind of utility-focused type of build. He's not full flat pen. He's on Everfrost, Morello, and his Zonias. This is not a Death Cap and a Shadow Flame and a Ludens, right? He is not just going to absolutely one-shot you later on. But
missing. Anchor Sin, who would have definitely died but wanted to start the fight, nearly gone. And that means you can maybe Baron contest. It's possibly a 4v5. Missing might need to recall for health. He can't really team fight, and it is burning fast to an Aphelios. His team fight will start soon. ShowMaker on the wings, finds a bit of damage here. Vi rooted in place. She can flash in the ping. Look for the smite. Claimed by Canyon. Here goes a team fight. And no one is on Aphelios. Yagao finally gets there. Hope over the wall. Flashes. Looks for the auto. Shuts him down. And the rest of the team fight goes to 3-6-9. Canyon's pushed out. How many Barons can they save? A stopwatch for Yagao. Still stuck in 1v2. The chain comes out early for ShowMaker. He would have died. But the mid from Damwon mistimes the skill shot.
JDG wiped Damwon off the map here. As they pile into the pit, they're just grouping up for 3-6-9 like fish in a barrel. The Aatrox comes through and crushes the hopes of Damwon here. These fights, man, so close, so back and forth. It's all about getting in onto these carries. Which one is going to be able to perform best? But it's deokdam in the back of the pit, and he gets punished.
And immediately you can see as Vi goes down, that ultimate connects, which sets up Hope. Yagao immediately flashes in onto the back line, and they're able to finish off deokdam. Even the fact that you got a bit more of that gold onto Hope now is going to help him finish the Infinity Edge. And 3-6-9 once more in the pit, decimating people as they're grouped up.
And the biggest problem is, with LeBlanc on this low damage build, with Irelia behind, as long as Kanavi, Yagao, and Hope can push deokdam out of the fight, there's no one that can kill the Aatrox.
Yeah.
As soon as Aphelios is gone, Aatrox is going to full health. He is drain tanking the rest of your team. So they need to find some sort of a way to keep deokdam more involved in these fights. He's monster fed, but he just can't do anything.
Ulti lands is going to be enough. They're going to land the chain of stopwatch, buy some time. Will there be follow through? A flash out for ShowMaker. Mid lane, tier 2 could be attacked, won't die yet.
Great call, though, from JDG. It looked a little bit shaky going on to ShowMaker, but there's no objectives up, and they get the TP out. Because with Aatrox not having access to that teleport, having these double TPs could slow down the game so much for JDG.
Yeah, that TP being out is massive. Yagao now has a TP to actually match ShowMaker, but it's Damwon just marching down mid. They will collect a tier 2 here in mid lane. And it is Bloodthirster plus now the Hex Drinker for deokdam. So harder to burst down here for sure. But without Flash, it's very difficult. He doesn't have the Lulu that he had in the last game. He doesn't have a Thresh or something to really reposition him. If he's caught out whatsoever, there's really nowhere for him to go.
Yagao just gets on him every single time. It's really well done. Kind of gets like the first half of his ulti, and Yagao puts him to 10%. Hope ultis to get it over the line, and it does so. And the rest of the team fight, of course, no one can handle the Aatrox. We are waiting for the Baron to end in 14 seconds. Basically nothing on the Rebel Baron power play.
And though Hope is still way behind, he has the IE now, right? That is going to change things tremendously. If you get into that back line with this type of a build, you can put the hurt on any of these carries. Yes, deokdam is going to be putting out more DPS if they're both free-firing, but it's not really been the case because it's Yagao and Kanavi pressuring him, and Hope just needs to bring the burst to actually knock down that kill.
Also, Yagao starting to work up towards that Banshee's Veil as well. We're giving him a lot of opportunities then in these fights to ignore that first ability that hits, but good Everfrost. Yeah. Hope will just back away, but JDG not really in a position to kind of go for these sieges. They're so short-ranged, and you actually have the ability as Damwon to push back these waves.
And you can see both teams are actually so uncomfortable to play the map, because every time Damwon goes to a side lane, JDG just engage, right? So both teams are getting pulled into this just straight up 5v5. Whose hands are better? Who can execute better in these situations? It has not been about side lane whatsoever. There are people catching waves, but even JDG doesn't really want to play through sides whatsoever. They want to be grouped as a 5-man squad. They're not really winning in those 1v1s, with Yagao, because he's been put pretty far behind. We'll see if he can start to do that a little bit more now.
I do like the way we've started to set up vision, though, for JDG on this bot side. You can see one just off on the side of bot lane there. You can see one just off of blue as well. Thank you very much, Azale. Where you can actually spot out exactly where they can look for TPs for Yagao, where they can actually look to make picks onto Damwon as they start to come through. And having control over this bot side jungle with a minute 30 until Dragon can be such a big boon when they're looking to make these picks.
It absolutely can, and you have to think, Mountain Soul for either team would be devastating for their opponent. Both of these teams really do value that upfront burst, right? Being able to knock someone down. Mountain Soul Shield can be the difference in a game like this. Both teams sitting on 2 dragons right now, 1 minute until it would be soul point for either side. It will be an absolutely critical fight. And with only 2,000 gold separating the two teams at this point of the game, honestly, it's anyone's to take.
And you can see how much they value that tankiness as well for deokdam, right? Got the Bloodthirster for the shield, got the Maw for the shield. He's gone. Oh, hang on.
Baker's gonna land, they're gonna chain combo, and ShowMaker goes down. Missing gets the critical pick.
I mean, such a brilliant opportunity there for JDG. They can start to go through. Yagao steals away Kellin's ult, but I don't think they're going to go. They just want to try and crack open these towers, push Damwon back in the face with 30 seconds until the Dragon.
There's decent wave clear. It's 40 seconds. Keep in mind, though, it's Dragon and the Baron. They find the go! They hit him! deokdam Gale forces out, and here goes Hope, but Hope can't kill him. The man stays alive. In front of the towers, Nuguri clears the wave. Ults tries to stay alive. Flash to safety. Hook's going to land again! Oh, missing! Just doesn't! It's 3 in a row! There's 4! There's 5! And that top lane Aatrox has played a critical role in this entire game. 10, 1, and 11. He was a mighty 9 all game long. And the first seed belongs to the first seed of the LPL. JDG takes the win.
There are no ones that exist in this game. 369 popping off. Kanavi setting them up. And just like that, Jin Dong Gaming will take the first seed in Group B.
Remember the name 369. What a performance from the JDG top laner. This is the kind of stuff that made me fall in love with watching this guy play. Truly incredible all game long in that final fight. It is Hope diving in the backline, pushing deokdam off, but it is then JDG's top laner 369 who goes in and solo kills him basically in the 1v1, being able to out-carry this 6-item Aphelios here. It was all about team play for JDG. It was all about how they actually played it out in the 5v5s. Damwon looked like they were going to run away with this game, that it was going to be back-to-back stomps here, that it would be heartbreak for the LPL. After a 5-0 start, it really did look like it would be the LCK that would take first seed, but it was not to be, as JDG team fought incredibly.
Oh my word.
Played towards their win conditions so damn well, and I think it was so impressive to me to see that the members who were so far behind knew exactly how to play this out, knew how to enable their carry, 369 in this case, to actually play. They immediately pivoted, and it's just 3 members here, Kanavi, Yagao, and Hope, and they say, all right, your only job is to make sure that deokdam cannot play the fights. Nothing else matters. And every single fight, they fly in, they push deokdam out, and 369 does the rest.
I mean, crazy is our game in the LPL, and this is why I love LPL. Absolutely fantastic performance from JDG, as you say. The fact that they managed to execute so brilliantly on getting this Aphelios out of the picture, even through everything that Damwon were throwing at them, like the lock of the Iron Solari, you had the lock up there for Canyon, the fact that you've even got the Anathemas as well to keep this Aatrox in check, it did not matter. Every time they got onto the Aphelios, who even with the most damage in the game couldn't do anything.
I mean, it was like a 5K gold lead at a good 17 minutes into the game.
There were objective bounties.
Yeah, it just looked like an absolute stomp. And it's just insane how well this team fights. It's really giving me, vibes of EDG last year and their team fighting. And that really is something that I think has defined the LPL World Champions, the LPL MSI Champions, is how hard it is to actually put them down. No matter what, even if you get ahead, even if you create an advantage, even if you're winning the map, even if you're supposed to outscale, they can just skill check you in a 5v5 and take you down.
Ignite Aatrox. I'm there when I need to be there, don't worry about it. A 21 KDA for 369. And it was fun. It was fun watching it play out because Aatrox sold the front line. He's like, I'll be 1v4, I'll die exactly once, don't worry about it. Y'all dive in. Their Vi ults, Yagao was flashing him every time. He's like, I have to go for him. Hope it's enough. We're gonna hope.
And the counter
AD carry was that. Yeah. But it's just we all have Aphelios. You saw the bans were Braum, the bans were Thresh. We're just killing your AD carry, and there's not enough in your tools to make it happen, and it's what came through. Beautifully done by JD Gaming, a well-done win. First seed comes through for them, and after that well-fought battle, we are joining 369 on stage with Shox in our Verizon post-game interview.
Thank you very much. The crowd, absolutely explosive for that JDG win, which locks them first. Obviously, my first question has to be, how did you bring that game back versus Damwon?
那首先恭喜你们获得本场比赛的胜利。第一个问题要问到的是，在刚才是如何完成翻盘，然后获得胜利的？
就是翻盘的话，就是因为我觉得我还是优势嘛，就是虽然局面上很劣势，我觉得我可以就是大家一起赢的。
Although the whole team we were in a disadvantage, but I feel personally I'm in the advantage. I can carry the team to get that win to make a comeback.
Absolutely, that was a 9 performance if I ever saw one. Why do you think it is that it is specifically your team, JDG, that can always turn games around on the brink of defeat?
那对于我们69哥，觉得你们的队伍是为什么在每一次，即使是有劣势的情况下，也永远有着不服输的韧劲儿，每一次都能够翻盘成功呢？
就是翻盘比较多的话，就是因为就是我们比较团结吧，就这样。
I believe it's the coordination to make this possible. We can have so many comeback fights.
369, would you consider yourself the best Aatrox in the tournament?
我们69哥觉得自己是不是这次世界赛上最好的剑魔？
就是按道理来说的话，就确实这把剑魔太无敌了。
At least for this game's Aatrox, I think I'm undefeatable.
Final question, since you lock first place. Do you feel like you've played up to the level as to what the fans deserve as a first seed coming out of the LPL?
那现在也是以小组第一出现了嘛？那你觉得你们的表现有没有达到可能粉丝们希望看到的我们 LPL 1号种子的风采呢？
我觉得就是我们现在虽然小组第一，但是我们就是想要完成最终的目标的话，是有需要很多进步的地方的，就这样。
Although we were able to qualify as the first seed, but in order to reach our final goal, we still have so many parts that we still need to make some improvements on.
Some work to do, but a wonderful first seed. 谢谢 369 and also Wendy for the wonderful translations all day. What a game! And we will kick it over to World's Cooldown.
No.
You have got to love it. The tenacity, the grit out of this team, JDG, after falling down against Damwon just moments before to get back up on the horse in that 7th game of the day, the tiebreaker, and to bring it all home and to do it in comeback fashion. You heard Shock say it was a comeback, and it did take a lot of work for JDG to bring it back. Just to contextualize that comeback, at 15 minutes, deokdam had the largest goal difference at 15 of any individual player of this whole tournament. He was plus 3,939 gold. That's one player that they had to come back from.
And I know everyone is honing on 369, and justifiably so, because Aatrox was insane. Yeah. But I want to shout out Mr. Toothpaste himself.
Let's go.
While I think that the draft was always going to give an angle to JDG to come back, it's this catch right here that I think might be game deciding.
You know what time it is? It's toothpaste time.
Yep.
I just really keep wanting to say that. Obviously, Yagao identifying that he has to take out deokdam because he is so far ahead, which is also what allows this Aatrox to further get ahead, right? Because this was a very split map game. We had the Aatrox winning on the top side for 369 and JDG, but then on the bot side, we had this Aphelios that was so far ahead, and it was a battle of those two things.
Yes, and I think that last team fight that we saw at Drake really turned the tides, as you mentioned, because of the gold bounties that were going through off of that. And just compositionally, Maokai, Irelia, Leona, like, they do not fare well diving into an Aatrox. LeBlanc really struggles versus the lockdown that they had to deal with. So it was just tough from that point forward once they just threw that goal lead away to be able to come back in.
And I also want to highlight, this is a tendency that Damwon have had in the past, make it too hard for themselves. If you pick up, at the very least, something that is an Irelia here, maybe you can go toe-to-toe in the late game team fights, but with no way to reliably peel for Aphelios, And a side laning pick that doesn't do a lot in team fights, nor is able to side lane at any point in the game. I think the team fighting power from JDG was just too much to handle.
Yeah, and to bring it back to Yagao again, because Sylas has been such a power pick that we've seen rising in popularity. Obviously, this is another blind Sylas, and we didn't really know how we felt about it when we were watching the draft backstage. I think he gets to this point where he is just so deceptively tanky. So on this JDG team, once they did have that fight where Yagao was able to essentially assassinate deokdam in the backline, what ends up happening is you have an Aatrox, and then you actually have the Sylas. As we saw, he zoned out 2 people at the same time.
Kai'Sa.
Yeah, while Aatrox is actually hitting the Leona in a split fight.
And it was hard to say because I want to blame the draft, but it wasn't. Specifically, like for the Irelia to be useful at that point, I would just wanted an Ornn if you're not going to cover it on the dive. But they traded really well off that dive. Like Irelia was still in the game off that dive, and then bot lane was lights out based off of Canyon's pressure towards that side of the map. And so it really was just about playing that Drake fight well as you could, and that's going to be the conversation for the rest of, like, I know we have group stage still to play, but for these teams that are going in the knockout stage, in best of 5s, you have to play these team fights extremely well versus the LPL teams.
Yeah, I like where your head at is, though. Ornn into everything.
There we go. I'm a big fan of
Ornn into everything.
Ornn is
I
just
love
the
it.
answer.
You're starting to join my team on that.
There we go.
Oh my God.
Dickhead. We ain't playing to me, then. I'm just going to be useful in team fights.
While I know they would have wanted to do it in undefeated fashion, let's take a look at the Group B standings, where it is JDG taking the top spot at 6-1. Damwon Kia, they still glide out of groups in 5-2 fashion. Very dominant showings out of both of these teams. I would definitely be scared to draw either of them in my quarterfinal.
Damwon to me is not necessarily surprising because we knew that the meta could benefit them, but I still think that the fact that their bot lane is playing as well as they are is something that's really worth highlighting, as we've done today. And for JDG, they are the only front-up title contender that actually lives up to the expectation thus far.
And while we'll see plenty more of those two teams today, we say goodbye to both the Evil Geniuses and G2 Esports. 1 and 5 will be the records for both of their teams. Disappointing, I'm sure, by their own standards, but still able to make some of these group games quite interesting.
I believed in EG, and they got the 1 win, and that was the best they could get today. As Jojo pointed out in the interview, he was kind of sad that they couldn't show more of this in week number 1, but of course, that's always going to be the case.
Yeah, and ambition a lot of the times robs you from just the joy of the journey. And for G2, it was pretty amazing to see players like FLICKR come up to the big stage, especially Targamas coming back into the LEC and having such a performance that he had, and Broken Blade finding himself on a top team. I think those 3 things really make me hope for next year for G2, that they keep that team together and that growth really turns into something much bigger.
Damn, bro, you're going to hit us with something real like ambition destroys the joy of the journey.
There's a better quote out there, I'm sure.
My goodness.
Ooh,
Chills on that one.
Because it's so cold up here.
It is cold
just
up here.
the way I like it, Emily. You know I am in heaven right now.
Amazing.
We got to talk to JoJo upon EG's exit earlier in the day. Shox also got a few words from G2's Broken Blade after their final performance here at Worlds in our Verizon postgame interview. Take a look.
I'm here with Broken Blade after G2's exit from the World Championship. BB, what are your thoughts on what went wrong this tournament?
I think there's a lot of things that went wrong, actually. I mean, obviously, we only won 1 game, right? And in the end, I think the Asian teams were too strong for us. And I think we have been having issues with losing games slowly, right? So I feel like every time we lose, we get stomped. And I feel like there's something we couldn't improve at. And in the end, obviously, we're at World Championship. The best teams in the world are here, right? And if we can't make it out of groups, it means we probably just didn't deserve it, right? And I do think we did have some things that were good, right? So we obviously had more things that were bad compared to the other teams in this tournament. I mean, I would still say it was a great experience. I've had a lot of fun with my teammates this experience. I felt like Skirmish were going pretty good compared to the last time I was at Worlds. The mood was a lot better compared to the last time I was at Worlds. I wouldn't say it's obviously a success because we didn't make it out right. It wasn't my plan to get knocked out 1-5. I actually did have high hopes coming into the tournament with my team. I felt like we're all really, really ready taking on these teams, and in the end it wasn't enough, unfortunately, and the only thing I can do is try to learn from all the games and just get better from it.
Yeah, how much do you think, like, these days are pretty hard because if you lose that game in the beginning of the day, then you have back-to-back games. Is that something that maybe also influenced it, like a bad start really killed the momentum a bit?
I think it depends on the environment you're in, right? I think we did bounce back. Obviously, we got stumped again, which didn't look like from the outside perspective that we didn't bounce back, but everyone was still trying, obviously, because everything was still open. Up until the point we lost, right? We knew we were out, and we tried to enjoy the last game as much as we could, and I think we did have good showings in the early game, right? And in the end, they just team fought way better than us, and again, we lost. Which is, I mean, it's just a bit frustrating, right? There's nothing more to say to that. It sucks to lose. I feel sorry for the fans, right? I'm grateful that I was able to play with my team in this tournament. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bit of emotional interview there as Broken Blade and the rest of G2 exit the tournament. It's always tough to say goodbye to teams, particularly when you hear from them, things like the way that Scrims or the way they viewed their performance here at Worlds, how they feel they had more to give or more to show on the stage. The reality is, for most teams, you only get 6 games on the world stage to show your stuff and in a best-of-1 format. So it really is just about getting it done when it's your turn, and that's ultimately what separates each of our teams here in the group stage.
Well, it ties a bit into what Raz said, right? Not with the ambition, but with the fact that you have a team in Broken Blade's words that was getting along really well, right? And to your point, Raz, does have this potential to grow. It's a very interesting mixture of experienced players and rookies or less experienced players, in particular their bot lane.
Yeah.
And I actually love teams like that, because when they work, the experience and like kind of veteran leadership that people like Caps and Yonkos can bring to a team, bringing up FLICKR and Targamas, like I think it ends up looking really good. And I think you could see that at points throughout the entire year with this G2 lineup.
Even just out of the games, being able to watch Champions Queue and just seeing like how damn good FLICKR has been. And like he just grinds the game. And stuff like that really gives you faith in the long-term goals that they have. So I really I know that G2 will just come into the next season with like for sure those pieces coming in. And I know that they'll be better for it.
A lot of positives to take away as we hit the halfway point of week 2 here in groups. Let's take one more look at the standings as a whole. Of course, over there in Group A, T1 snagging first, EDG locking up second. JDG and DWG KIA getting it done today. And we've got 2 more groups to decide. We've got Group C, where Rogue tout that 3-0 undefeated record over DRX and Top Esports just behind them. GAM looking to pick up their first one. Royal Never Give Up. They'll match Rogue win for win over there in Group D. Also 3-0 with Gen G at the 2-1. CTBC Flying Oyster, my personal favorite team at the tournament, 1-2, and then 100 Thieves, much like the rest of NA, looking to get something done and make some magic here in week number 2. Let's take a look at our schedule for tomorrow as we watch that Group C go up to do battle. It will be Rogue and GAM Esports to kick off the day before GAM returns to the stage to go up against Top Esports. DRX will play 2 in a row, and then Top will be the team that plays back-to-back to close out the day. Chronicler, your thoughts on what we have ahead of us?
Big thing here for Rogue, and the reason why I expect them to do very well tomorrow, there is no NA team to boom them.
Yeah.
Not happening.
Big brains on that one.
It's not gonna, because and I say this jokingly, it doesn't really have anything to do with an NA team or with GAM. I think Rogue have just been a very well-rounded team. I don't think that there is a very easy answer. Some drafting adaptations that we saw work so well against Fnatic and against G2. So I think the team is very well rounded. I expect them to face first place, and I think that the fight for second place between Top and DRX is going to be the real battle.
So you're just declaring.
You're just doing
first
that.
place.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're gonna curse them?
Pull out the
What do you
whiteboards,
mean
friends.
curse? I
Everybody
have
grab
no
your
power.
whiteboard. Everybody grab your whiteboard.
no.
You got a
Because I'm
whiteboard?
getting you
Yeah, I
on
have one.
record. You have a whiteboard somewhere.
I have a whiteboard. Oh my
Get
god.
your
Wonderful.
whiteboard out.
is?
Get your whiteboard out. Grab
Throw
it.
something on the ground.
Because
no, I'm good.
I personally think that this is the
afternoon.
most...
You wanna
Good
share?
afternoon. Good evening at this
That was
point.
me.
Yeah.
I personally think that tomorrow's group is the most difficult to predict
Oh, I
in
guess
terms
that's
of
better.
which
My
two
guy,
teams will get. You really using your hand on that? My goodness, guys.
That's what I've always done.
So
back
what
in
I would
school.
like everyone to do here is obviously write down your 1 seed followed by your
Here.
2 seed. You really don't have one?
No.
Who stole
here we go.
Chroniclers?
Wait,
There
I'm
we go.
on this tomorrow. I don't want to
Oh,
spoil
you
my
just
pick.
can't see it.
Yeah. You want to hold it?
Yeah.
Because you're on the desk tomorrow? Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you do it because you'll have to show
So is
tomorrow.
Raz,
then,
actually.
Too. Well, Raz, I know, like he likes to cause controversy, so he's
True.
just going to go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to see. This is so hard. I'm going to go.
What are you saying?
This feels wrong.
There we go. That's
Wow.
interesting.
I just don't think
Wow.
anything I say feels right in this group. That's the problem. You ready to reveal? Raz, come on. No, only
All right,
top two.
fine,
Only top
fine.
two. We just need
Oh,
top
just
two.
top two?
I mean, he went for the whole group, but only top two. That's all that matters.
You know what? I believe in them.
Wow. That's not how you spell rogue. You want to try that again? you guys should see what is happening over there.
No,
I can
don't
see
worry
from across
about
the
it.
Table. This
Don't
man
worry
just
about it.
misspelled the word
Don't
rogue.
worry about it.
We're
Did you
playing
say
D&D
rouge?
earlier. Yeah, he wrote rouge.
I did.
Okay, you ready for the reveal?
Yeah. Oh,
Ready? 3,
Go.
2, 1, go. Boom. All right, so I am going to go with DRX followed
Rogan.
by Rogue.
what are you doing?
This
I'm
guy
looking
over
for
here-
my alpaca. I want to
Where is your emotional support?
say that-
His
Alpaca?
emotional
I've got
support.
some for
Say
you.
that to
What
Death's
happened to him?
face. Don't you touch him! Don't you touch him!
Things
put
are
him in
getting
front of me.
violent here
Don't
at
put
the
him in front
end
of me.
of day 2,
I'll protect
week
you.
2 for groups. But the
Can you
call
wait for
is
me?
Rogue and Top Esports. I'm going to try and bring a little bit
for it.
of
Order.
Oh my goodness, order. Thank you for helping me
See, I
find
got
that
you.
word when I was struggling. To the desk. Rogue, Top Esports. Why? Why does DRX fall out?
I think DRX just, especially in the jungle position, have been very, very straightforward. People, you don't really need to do too much prep in what they're going to go for. So just take out the tanks in the draft, and then
Okay.
you can basically attack it.
All
Their
right.
best player is just going to be through mid and AD carry, and I think you can just draft around that.
Both of you
pretty
think
well.
Rogue is going to get it done, but you think DRX will hold on to second place over Top. Why?
Because I don't think Top have looked very good, and I don't expect him to bounce back.
Okay, fair
There
enough.
we go.
I imagine that Rogue will drop a game. I think DRX is going to find the kind of LCK form that we talk about time and time again. I'll remind you, only one team in history out of the LCK hasn't qualified out of groups. So
One
the
last
fact
thing,
that
'cause
you
I
are
only mentioned-
calling for it.
I only mentioned the draft. I think if we're not seeing the int, Jackie Loves is better.
Okay.
So
Oh,
All right.
Okay.
That's what it comes
Just a
That's
few
fair.
thoughts ahead of tomorrow. If you want Emily's predictions, find out
Find out
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Tune in, all right? Now, as we close up shop here, we know that engaging online is a part of all of our lives, and Riot Games is partnering with IDEO to redefine what healthy online spaces can look like through the Designing for Digital Thriving Challenge. Now, through November 1st, we're asking fans worldwide to submit your innovations, designs, or ideas that help build healthy online communities. Winning submissions can take home anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000. So check out IDEO.com for more info. But as we shut down the arena surrounded by friends, I want to leave you with one more important bit of information. This bear fact. On average, bears walk 1 meter per second, in contrast to the human average of 1.4 meters per second. However, bears can achieve short bursts of speeds up to 40 kilometers per hour.
That's
so I guess
terrifying.
all that tells us is challenge
Yeah.
bears to walking races, not to sprinting matches. That's going to do it for us here. So on behalf of myself, the casters, the entire broadcast crew, thank you for watching. We'll catch you tomorrow for more Worlds. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, be good to each other, and avoid those bears. Catch you later.
I just saved.
Wait, you hit it!
Okay, what the hell?
V-Dog, what?
Not really a fine run.
What, can I call you V-Dog now?
I'm not calling you dog. Yeah, we'll run it down.
Land the bubble, there it is. Connects onto the Draven, inspired, canters forward. Will he pick up the Rampage kill? No, he won't because Gallery locks down first blood. The Shen delivery system. And yeah, the taunt's great onto Jankos. He has nowhere to go. All 5 members turn up.
Oh, really? Is Shen your best champion of all time, if you can choose one?
I think so.
Yeah.
You know which one's Kaori's?
Which one? I don't know.
Mars.
I still think his Lucian is pretty whatever, no?
Yes, Lucian's alright.
Lucian's alright.
ZG running for the hills now. 369 dashing forward. Yagao doing the same. Yagao picks it up. The repose comes through. It's a decent ulti. And it's a double for Yagao. There's the ace. And now we're going to get the celebratory kills. We've got hostile takeovers everywhere. And now onto the fountain go EG. JDG just too damn good as they move to 4-0 in this group, looking like the best here. Jankos very, very close to death as Canyon finds himself the backline. Can he get the reset though? Is the question. The answer is absolutely not. But still, it is so much damage from Damwon Kia. They are so far ahead, and Caps just couldn't do enough. It's the Lucian damage here. The riposte is decent, but he doesn't have it available for FLICKR, and Broken Blade now has it on cooldown, so he's just dead. A double kill now for deokdam. Lucian Nami today has just been absurd.
Auto Q, one more is gonna get him for sure. No, the shield. They're not gonna get him back in time. The bailout, I don't think it's gonna happen. There's one, and they're chasing in for the next two. Hit almost nobody. A single auto from target miss. 369 holds the front line still. Ulti on, finds a huge stun in front of the turret. Caps will die. Caps wants Kanavi, but no, he can't get it. And it's another huge set of shutdowns. Ooh, nice pull back though. Bubble's gonna land. deokdam. He's low. First blood for EG. He's burning, but he's bailing out. First blood to Kaori. Up by Canyon, 4v5. Like to be a win for Damo, but it's actually a single pick coming across. JoJo's alive. Jumps in with a bailout. Means there is no kill to be had. Renata turns it around. Now missing is gone from the lineup. And you got a kick back for Kanavi. Into a bunch of damage. Cannon cast right back out of the team. And the kills are not found. A free firing AD carry sets up for a second and a third. Back in goes 369, but he cannot solo kill the opposing AD carry. Luluwalt just makes it a freebie. The dive in for the rest works well for Lucian. And finally a triple kill. A hope has been extinguished, and it's Canyon. Exactly that in the jungle. 8-0-2. You cannot step up against this man. Gonna hit Kellin with it. Doesn't mean a ton, but it still means Canyon goes down. Hope drops deokdam. Burns a stopwatch, but has nowhere to go. 369 hits Q3, and he's on for a double kill. Doubles into 6, looking for the next one. That's gonna be a triple into 9, and it means Baron is the play. If Ults tries to stay alive, flash to safety. Hook's gonna land again. Oh, missing! Just does it! It's 3 in a row. There's 4.